Start up our news review segment where we take a look at one of our stories in more detail. Iran says the only solution to the problems in Yemen is a political solution with the participation of Yemeni parties. Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir-Abdollahian made the comments during a meeting with a spokesman of Yemen's Ansarullah movement, Mohammed Abdul Salam, in Oman. He said the Yemeni issue is an internal one and the future of the country should be decided through Yemeni talks. Amir Abdollahian also stressed on lifting the blockade and ending the war on the impoverished country. Saudi Arabia and its allies launched a devastating war in Yemen. In 2015, hundreds of thousands of Yemenis have been killed and millions displaced since then. Joining us is David Yaghoubian, a professor of history at California State University, and also Tony Gosling, investigative journalist and historian from the British city of Bristol. Gentlemen, welcome. David, if I start with you and getting your thoughts, I mean, having spoken to many experts, such as yourself, over the years, the only issue I can see with this proposal by the Islamic Republic of Iran is that it will be a major loss to the American military-industrial complex. Indeed, and
I need to say that and I'm hearing a little bit of echo there, if you could fix that, please. The statements of Iranian diplomats certainly make my job as a commentator much easier because of their consistency with their past statements, their consistency with international law, and also their employment of common sense. And so it's absolutely clear that if there is going to be a peaceful future Yemen that includes all Yemenis in a united and sovereign country, that a diplomatic solution is truly the only solution. And so I would say that, yes, indeed, the U.S. military-industrial complex will be the biggest loser, along with the government of Saudi Arabia, and particularly Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who, in conjunction with the UAE, launched this disastrous war, disastrous for the Yemenis, disastrous for themselves, and really only benefiting, as per Donald Trump's statements about it, the U.S. military-industrial complex. So hopefully all parties will come together and be able to engage in diplomacy that will lead to a negotiated settlement, which is the only future path.
Let me turn to Tony. Tony, welcome. What's your thoughts here? Do you see any other solution to this war that has been waged on Yemen other than an internal political one involving all Yemeni and only Yemeni parties?
Well, one thing which would help immediately, and that is if the West's media started reporting honestly on what's happening in Yemen. I mean, we've seen even some of the fiercest international commentators beginning to admit recently that the Houthis are here to stay and they're not going away. The problem in Yemen was in 2015. What kicked all this off is that the media backed and of course the Western powers backed a president who was very unpopular and basically was a Western puppet. And ever since, this lie that you know, the Houthis are not the legitimate people to run Yemen has been going on and on and on. And the other thing I'd say is that this is really nothing to do with the Arab nations per se. The impetus for this horrific war, I mean, I was just looking at the casualty figures, absolutely unbelievable. Even 2020, we'd seen a 250,000 casualties. Quite what the figure is now, I don't know. But this is a Western-sponsored war. This is a NATO-sponsored, US-sponsored, British-sponsored, EU-sponsored war. And the British troops, well, I say that, the Royal Air Force, have actually been helping the Saudis to do this. Not only that, the Israelis have been helping. I noticed just before Christmas something popped up on the good old Middle East Eye, which is one of the only places where journalist colleagues of mine, people I know in Britain, are working because you know, they are trying to do balanced reporting, whereas the mainstream press here isn't. Is that Israeli software has been being used to target the phone of the UN investigator into the war crimes in Yemen. So what we're seeing is really all of the Western powers doing this war by remote control, using the Saudis, who also have got interests in the region, obviously too. And so that, I think, is the long and short of it. Is we've got a war which the Houthis are going to win ultimately, unless they want to have a government in Yemen which is totally not supported by its people. Then this war will probably continue. But there are admissions around the world now, even from all sides, that the Houthis are here to stay and that they're going to have to do a deal.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts and your contribution. Let me thank our guests for their time. David Yaghoubian, a professor of history at the California State University, and also Tony Gosling, investigative journalist and historian. And that brings an end to another edition of the News Review.